How should we think about the pace of sales in the second quarter and how transferable that pace is to future quarters, given you had this sort of the confluence of the stay-at-home restrictions being lifted, you had summer approaching, and then you had this desire of people to find some outdoor activities?
Yeah, the second quarter was very dynamic. It started off with very depressed demand in early April that carried over from the end of the first quarter. But then we saw a rapid pickup right at the end of April and then acceleration through May and a really strong June. June is the strongest month in most years, but it was particularly strong this year. And we've seen the momentum continue into July. So overall, very strong. On the wholesale side, of course, we can't satisfy all of that Q2 demand within the quarter. So we'll be continuing to satisfy it through Q3 and Q4 and potentially into next year. And as you mentioned, one of the results of that is that our pipelines have gone to very low levels. In fact, the lowest we've seen for about 20 years. So we'll be meeting demand, but also rebuilding the pipeline through this year and well into next year.
How quickly can you rebuild a pipeline? I would imagine that it takes a while to build a boat.
Yeah, well, we sell a lot of different kinds of boats. Everything from a 18-foot aluminum fish boat through to a large 40-foot Boston whaler or Sea Ray. So it depends. Certainly in our biggest boats and the premium boats like Sea Ray and Boston whaler, that's where our pipelines are the lowest. In fact, in some cases down to the mid-teens of weeks, where they should be probably double that. So we'll be rebuilding those through this year, through 21, and possibly even into future years. If you think about it, pipelines are down about 30%, 12 or 13 weeks, which is a quarter of a year of production. So we have to rebuild that quarter year on top of building to meet current demand.
David, I'm curious what kind of boat you'd recommend for someone who has no idea what they're doing out there.
Well, you know what? We've put a lot of technology into boats now, including joystick control and autopilot. So even our biggest boats are much more easy to handle and more intuitive for beginner boaters. But we're very lucky. We have a huge portfolio of boating offerings, from aluminum fish boats through value fiberglass, through our premium pontoon brands, and Boston whaler for saltwater fishing, Sea Ray for more cruising and general purpose. But we make every one of them as easy to use as possible. And I would recommend that they speak to us or speak to a dealer in terms of selecting a boat.
I can imagine. One more question, because these price points are pretty high on average. How much of these purchases, especially lately, are financed?
Typically about 50% of purchases are financed, and that's unchanged really from recent history. But if we talk a lot about our premium boats, and they certainly can be more expensive. But the average price of the boat we sell across our portfolio is about $40,000, and we sell boats from $10,000 or $15,000 upwards. We also now have Freedom Boat Club, so lots of ways to get on the boating ladder, both through our value products and also through shared access like Freedom. And you work your way up the ladder just like you do with any durable purchase.
David, even though you see the strong demand persisting through this month, you still haven't given full year guidance. And I'm wondering for you, what are the outstanding question marks when it comes to the economy that prevents you from making that forecast?
I think what we're seeing now is tremendous tailwinds in the boating sector, clearly offsetting some headwinds in the broader economy. And the question is the balance. Now, given the fact that our pipelines are low and our demand is continuing to be very strong, we expect the overall market headwinds in marine to continue to dominate the tailwinds in marine to continue to dominate the headwinds in the broader economy. But there are some unknowables in there. And we just, prefer to be cautious at the moment, given the dynamics of the situation. I would say from what we know, things will continue to be very strong.